Hey guys, and welcome to another Mobile Geeks Mobility video. I'm joined by Dahlmann.
And this is Nicole Scott.
And today we're going to be talking about Hyundai. I did not go on the trip, and Don has not filled me in. So I'm going to learn about everything that's going on with Hyundai. How was your trip?
The trip was very nice. We went to Zurich, which is always a very favorable city to be in. Actually, one of my favorite cities in Switzerland. But of course, we were there for just having sightseeing or something. There wasn't barely time for that. We had a very nice day. I mean, normally if you have these kind of press days and you drive the cars, it's just like, here are the keys, there's the car, bye-bye. But they did like a really nice presentation for like most of the early morning until lunch. So we had like, they filled up in with the strategy what Hyundai is doing. And for you outside who are maybe not so familiar with the brand or with what Hyundai is doing, they are investing heavily, I mean really heavily in two things. And the first thing is electric drive, obviously, like BEVs. And the second thing is hydrogen fuel cell. So they had a car since a couple of years, the Nexo, and they brought out a new version now, which is also called the Nexo, not Nexo 2 or something. It's also the Nexo. It's more an upgrade of the old one. So they upgraded the fuel cell immensely. So that you can now put in more hydrogen into it. It has a larger fuel cell, I think. It has a bit more power, but it has way more reach than the older version.
So now, is this the one that when we went to IAA Frankfurt, we saw that one, and it had the increase to 666 kilometers?
Yes, exactly. Wow. It has 666 kilometer reach, which is of course the ideal situation. But I mean, even if you like say, okay, you're in the middle of the winter and you are like driving crazy, not like we do, like old grandmas, but like you're driving really crazy, it should do 500 or close to 500, which is of course perfect. And you know, hydrogen has the one of the positives of hydrogen is the refueling, because it needs to like up maybe 5 minutes to refuel the tank, which is way quicker than electric. And of course, no emissions. That said, you need to have like regenerative energy to produce your hydrogen. It doesn't make sense like to use a lot of power from coal plants, for example, and then producing the hydrogen, then use it for driving around.
Because then it's not green at all.
No, it's not green at all and doesn't make any sense. I mean, in the end, of course, it makes a bit sense because you need energy nowadays, also CO2 emissions. I mean, a plant that produces gasoline or diesel also consumes energy, of course, a lot of it. So you can argue it doesn't matter if you use it for like producing gasoline and then put it in a tank, but then it got burnt and you have a CO2 emission in your car, or you produce hydrogen and then put it in the car and produce nothing at all, because the only thing that comes out of the exhaust, it has an exhaust, but the kind of exhaust is water.
And earlier this year here in Germany, Merkel announced the fact that they were going to build a green hydrogen plant in the north, because it's quite windy. So it's going to be wind-powered hydrogen. So it's coming.
It's, I mean, Hyundai is betting heavily on it. Not heavily on it, but I mean, they're selling this car here in Germany. It's around 70,000 euros. It's very expensive, but that you have with all hydrogen cars. The problem with it is the technology at the moment. So the fuel cell itself is very complicated to build, and that means it's very expensive to build. And they build it like in very small numbers. I just got today some numbers from Korea, and they sold, I think this year they sold about 800 or something of the Nexo, which is not of the new one, which is not bad. And they're gonna sell around 250 next year here in Germany. They don't make a lot of them.
That's really, those are really low numbers.
There's low numbers, but that said, they also push a lot of higher numbers to California, to the States,
where the infrastructure is already built.
It's already built. It's much better. And I can think that also in Scandinavia, where you have like a good infrastructure for hydrogen, is also working out well. But I mean, I drove the Nexo, and it's like, okay, it's not a big difference to a BEV. I mean, it's still, I mean, it's an electric car in the end. It doesn't matter if you use the energy that coming right out of the battery, or if you use a fuel cell that produces energy that goes in a small battery that you use then to drive.
So it actually drives more like an electric car than it does a gas-powered car?
Yes,
Oh,
it's the same. It's the same. No difference. There's absolutely no difference. It's just the way you produce the energy. That's all.
Now, if I remember right from Frankfurt, this was a car that had many buttons on the interior.
Oh yeah, they still have the kind of one button philosophy. They don't have like these huge screen that you find in the Tesla or nowadays even in a Daimler or so. They still like with like a bit old-fashioned interior design. It looks nice. So they have like a huge, what is it called? Console in the middle, which looks like a spaceship console in a way. So I like this kind of concept. It's a bit different, but it's a huge car. It's a mid-size or big-size SUV, and it looks really good.
So did they explain to you why they decided to go SUV like everyone else, or is it just because that's the car that everyone's buying?
Just the car that everyone's buying at the moment, and you have enough room to stack the hydrogen tanks that you need for it. There are 3 of them inside of them. They are like small, or not small, they are like huge tubes, like big cigars, if you can imagine that. They put it in the back of the trunk, and they have to like secure it very thoroughly, because of course you don't want to, if you have like a rear impact accident, they have to be safe, because you don't want to bring it. They are very secure, so it's not that if somebody drives in your back of a car that the things are exploding or so. That's not going to happen.
So now, did they talk about the overall strategy about hydrogen?
Yeah, they did a bit. I mean, they are pushing forward, but of course they also have like these kind of simultaneous strategies. So they're also pushing electric cars and hybrid cars. But they see that this is the future, I think, mostly in Europe. But for the Asian countries, I mean, Japan, Korea for itself, South Korea, and also China, are switching more and more to hydrogen. I mean, Japan is I think the biggest market for it at the moment. Upcoming Tokyo.
The Tokyo 2020. I mean, I think we're going to be hearing a lot about hydrogen.
We will hear a lot about hydrogen. We'll hear a lot about autonomous cars, because Toyota has a fleet of level 4 autonomous cars driving around, and they are powered by hydrogen. So this is like both technologies combined. But Hyundai, I think they're making. I mean, yes, they're. As a manufacturer here in Europe, they are not like huge. They are still importing cars. So they're manufacturing here in Germany, for example. They're selling a lot of cars, especially for the i30, so the smaller ones. But I think what they're doing at the moment is developing this kind of technology, and they're working also together with other German companies, Audi, for example. They are building up, and this is a very interesting strategy in terms of B2B, as they're building up a very strong arm in hydrogen technology. Because, I mean, we all know that hydrogen is not there where we maybe want it, because everybody thinks hydrogen fuel cells are the future, especially for heavy duties, trucks, etc., ships, trains, and so on. But maybe not so much for smaller cars, because the technology is so expensive. But this may change. I mean, we talked to the developer of the fuel cell in Frankfurt, and he was like very keen that the next generation of fuel cells from Hyundai, which will come up then in 2 or 3 years, will be like 30% smaller, and there will be like less platinum inside, and so they will use less space, and they will be way cheaper by not using that much platinum, which you use as a catalyst in the fuel cell. So maybe the step. I mean, we both expect it like by 2025.
Right.
That something serious is developing in hydrogen. But maybe it's even started a bit earlier, because Hyundai and Toyota are pushing that hard.
And for me, I think that 2020 is going to be the year where we start to see hydrogen sort of come up a little bit more into the mainstream. I think the Tokyo Olympics will sort of help to push it into everyone's sort of field of view. I don't think we're going to be able to escape it, just like we won't be able to escape the coverage of the Olympics.
No. No, you don't, absolutely not. But the thing is, I mean, still, there is the problem with the infrastructure.
Yes.
And Europe seems to be very keen at the moment to start to build up an infrastructure for battery electric. So charging stations, etc. So Germany will try to build up to 1 million charging points, not stations, but charging points by 2030, which means they have to build up, I think, like 200 a day or something.
Wow.
It's like a lot. So they're pushing really hard. And I also talked to Ionity, which is a provider for charging stations here in Germany, which is this joint venture of some automotive companies. And Hyundai is now also involved in that. And they're also pushing really, really hard. I test drove the Hyundai Kona, which is their small SUV electric. And this is I had to applaud them. This is really a good car. This is a bit of an overseen car because we always talk about the Zoe or we talk about the e-tron or the Tesla 3. But actually the Kona, it's not a cheap car. It's like around the Tesla 3. But it has over 450 kilometers of reach. There's a 65 or 64 kilowatt battery, over 450 kilometers of reach. It's a full-person car, easily. It has a huge trunk. It's quick if you want to use it. Doesn't use a lot of energy, so I was able to drive it for a couple of hours through Switzerland, and we didn't use up a lot of the battery because you can't speed in Switzerland because it's getting very, very expensive if you do that. Even 1 kilometer over the limit costs you a lot. Yeah, it really costs you a lot. So we didn't do that. But I mean, this is a really good car. It's well built. We know Hyundai quality is up to Volkswagen. It has everything inside the car you want. The entertainment system is a bit lacking. Yeah, connectivity is a bit lacking. So at this point they're a bit behind. But still, I mean, from the car itself, it's really good. And I mean, I'm eager to see when Volkswagen is coming out with the ID3. We did a lot of stuff about the ID3. Look at our other videos or podcasts. It's a completely different car. It's well designed. The interior is completely different. It's felt more like a car than the ID3.
So in Canada, Hyundai is a very popular brand.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really common. You see them on the streets constantly on your commute to work. And so I was very surprised that they have very little presence here in Europe.
No, they don't have, but they're more in the small car, mid-sized car division, up to Golf. So the i10, i20, I think they have, and also the i30. The i30 is one of the main competition to the Golf. It's a good car. They have a very aggressive design of the car. Everything works very well. So Hyundai is a good brand, and they really stepped up their game a lot in the last year. So it's not like this kind of cheapish Korean brand that you may expect. No. It's really
a premium quality
it's a premium. I mean, they have their premium versions of the car. I think it's in the States more, it's Genesis.
Yeah. And
we don't have that here. But you see where they're heading to, and you see what they're planning. And now is pushing the technology in terms of, for example, with the Nexo has a really nice feature in terms also of display stuff. If you turn the indicator left or right, you see the picture of what's going on in your left or right mirror in your dashboard.
Oh, cool!
So they have a little camera in the mirror or beside the mirror, and so if you turn the indicator on, at the same time, you don't have to look to the right or to the left. You see in your dashboard, you see the picture of what's going on behind you. This is really cool.
That's a really nice feature.
Yeah, that's a really nice feature. I never saw it before. And the guy picked me up at the airport with a Nexo, and the driver, and then he turned on the indicator. I was like, "What? I've never seen that." That was really. So you can see they are very innovative, and they're doing a lot. I mean, they still have a way to go. But I think if they
in terms of infotainment, maybe brand recognition here
and brand recognition, yeah, because it's still isn't not being I don't want to be rude or so. It's an Asian brand. I don't think that people are realizing it's from South Korea. Most of the people, it's an Asian brand. It's from Japan or China or something like that.
Japan
usually. But Hyundai, I think they're making. I mean, again, they're importing cars, so they're not producing here. They have an office near Frankfurt. And I think they're doing a really good work in terms of like making a statement as a brand, especially with these technologies that they have with the BEVs and now the Nexo. And yeah, I hope that they pursue it because that really looks good.
Excellent. So I'm very jealous that I wasn't able to attend this drive, and I hope that I get included on the next one. I was out of Germany at this time, so I wasn't able to go. But
no,
I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah, me too. Because they also like pushing out new battery electric cars all the way, and they are going through the whole fleet now, electrifying it. I mean, which means mostly, or not mostly, but a lot of plug-in hybrids, of course,
Right.
which are debatable. But they have also a lot of good electric cars now, and yeah, I mean, if you want to buy an electric car, if you in 2020 looking forward to it, or thinking about it, have a look at the Hyundai, because it's worth looking.
All right. So that was a quick look at what's going on with Hyundai. I'm really happy for the update, Don. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And be sure to check out more of our videos. We have a full playlist of usually Don and I sitting in a car, but because I missed out on the drive,
we just did the Audi e-tron.
We just did the Audi e-tron, so you can
Sportback.
actually just see that video somewhere around here. And be sure to also listen to our podcast, which is available everywhere that you can find a podcast. So this has been Don Dahlmann.
And Nicole Scott. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.